What's going on, everybody? This is Nick from House of Paint 203 bringing you the water elemental. And I know what you're thinking, probably just like enough with the elementals already, but I kind of have become OCD with them now. After I did the earth elemental, I saw the air elemental and water elemental in my local game store, so grabbed both of them. Did the air elemental last week, thought it came out pretty cool, similar to the water elemental in that it is a clear piece, as you can see on the table right here. So we are definitely going to be using some inks here today. But before we get started, just a friendly reminder to smite like and slam subscribe so that you can stay up to date on all the latest content that I'm putting out there in my quest to paint the manual. Now, subscribing is easier than ever. Just click that beholder in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. That'll be a little shortcut for you to subscribe. Also, the Instagram handle is down below right there. So if you are on Instagram yourself, thinking about joining, that is my handle. The O in of is actually a 0. So that is that. Looking forward to cracking down on this model here. So let's get started. I'm going to be starting off on the water elemental with a green ink. I'm going to be going up from the bottom of the miniature, and I'm going to go about 1/3 of the way up the model. I want to try to create a transition from green seawater to blue seawater. And so by doing that, I'm going to start off down here with a green ink. So as you can see, it's very diluted. But inks do go across these clear models pretty soundly, so I'm going to be doing this throughout the lower third. Probably have to give it a couple of coats, but this is how we're starting off. I'm going to go ahead and let this green ink dry and then move on to the blue ink. All right, now that it's dry, I'm going to go ahead with some blue ink and begin to apply that to the upper, really the upper 2/3 of the model. I'm even going to try to bleed it in a little bit to the green to try and see if it can get like a pretty smooth transition from green to blue. Again, inks kind of adhere to these clear models pretty well. Even so, I am going to have to do a second coat of both blue and green, but really just trying to establish an undercoat here. So as I'm doing this, I'll go ahead and speed things up for you. We'll go ahead, let this dry, and then slap another coat of green and blue inks on this, and then we'll pop on some washes. So I have 2 different washes. I have Coelia Greenshade, and I have Drakenhof Nightshade. The Greenshade is obviously green, and I'm going to be just popping it on the kind of the extremities of the green green ink here. What this will do is kind of seep into the texture that is present on the figure. Kind of like so. And then for the blue area, I'm going to do the same thing with the Nightshade. pretty cool effect down at the bottom here. So we'll go ahead and let that dry. Now we can start futzing around with some dry brushing. So starting down here on the kind of green portion, I'm going to be using a bit of a turquoise just to kind of see what that looks like. I've gotten this brush to the point that it is very, very dry, maybe even too dry. And with dry brushing, you always want to go against the grain. As you can see, the texture is running north to south, so I'm going to be, the texture is running vertically, so I'm going to be going horizontally. I was going to say east to west, but I guess I'm technically going west to east here. So as you can see, a little dry brush of the turquoise is looking very nice on top of the green, giving it those kind of green undertones. Going right up into the into this section of the. As it's rising up, it's getting a little bit of a dip there. Its face is kind of leaning over. It's kind of hunched in a way. So I'm going to try some frost blue under here to see what that might look like. Frost blue is a little bit lighter, a little different tone than the turquoise. Pop some of that turquoise on the edges as well. Now I'd like to go in with a bit of a bone white, being careful with this. I don't want to overwhelm it with white. I'm picking my spots here. So let's see, just to start off, I may have some, maybe a little too heavy on my brush here, so I'll start getting some off on the back. All right, so I'm going to be making some wave caps, and in order to do that, I'm going to be using a Vallejo environment effect. This is actually going to be, it's a snow effect, but it kind of doubles as, you know, a good alternative for cresting waves. So I do like using this for waves. I used it on the Kraken. The Kraken comes with several waves. Every tentacle has a wave crest, and the main figure has a very large wave. So be getting him up on his head here. Using an old brush to apply this. I do not want to apply this using a new brush. So take an old brush that you have kicking around, one of your fallen soldiers, and you know, kind of utilize those. Picking my spots here. This takes a while to dry, so if you place it in spots that you aren't really feeling, you know, you do have time to go and kind of remove it. So there we have the water elemental finished product here. Again, the model by Nolzur's Marvelous Miniatures and WizKids. And as always, I thank you for joining me. Information on how to follow me on all my social media platforms is immediately following the video, as is information on how to follow Dominic Marriott of Credit UK and Mike Donnarummo of MVD Studios. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you for the next one.